with respect to what to do with current retirees, did you know that with current retirees, if they want to opt out of the Medicare system, they lose their Social Security benefits? It's true. What, you want to get out of Medicare? You are going to forget your Social Security benefits. That is ridiculous. That situation needs to change. We need to deregulate the health insurance market to allow people to purchase make interstate purchases of health insurance. We need to end government mandates. One of the most perverse aspects of this bailout bill is the fact that now there's mental health parity that has been passed, which is a mandate which is going to be expensive and make health insurance more expensive. These government mandates cut down on consumers' choices and ultimately make health insurance and health care more expensive. That was a part of one of the sweeteners in the bailout bill to get votes to pass that thing. They passed mental health parity. And also to give people vouchers. We have way too much. One of our big problems in terms of medical care in this nation is that it is insufficiently consumer-driven. Third-party payers pay more in this nation than in other nations that have supposedly socialized health care. Third-party payers in 2001 paid 86% of all medical payments in the United States. That is up from 56% in 1965. Again, the government is paying doctors directly. Why not give vouchers to the retired that will make them in charge of their healthcare spending? It will allow them to interface with the doctor. It will make them the consumers and govern the dollars that are going to be spent. And anything that they don't spend could be saved into a medical savings account for use in future years. So it really, the Social Security and Medicare are two big economic problems facing this nation, notwithstanding the current financial crisis on Wall Street and the current budget deficit that we face in the ballpark of 500 or billion or whatever it is these days. It's tough to tell. But those situations, and in 2008, the first baby boomers are turning 62. The people born in 1946, the first baby boomers are already beginning to draw on Social Security. They're going to be eligible for Medicare in 2011. This is a situation that is something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible. During this bailout situation, the financial crisis that has come up on us, particularly post-Labor Day, actually I guess in the past 3 weeks or so, it's really become a crisis. It reminds me, I think it was the late economist Rudiger Dornbusch who said, I believe he said this, that financial crises take longer to develop than you think they will, but when they happen faster than you think they will. And that's exactly what's happened. It has taken so long. We've had, the oil shock, and we've had the subprime mortgage situation going on for at least a couple of years, and it looked like for a while that no big deal, we're getting through this okay, but in the background something was happening, and then all of a sudden it comes up and materializes within a few weeks, and suddenly the Dow is down to 9,200 or whatever it is now. It's a real financial crisis, and I think it's going to, I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think it is going to have ultimately an effect on Main Street. But I don't know at the end of the day what the government can do except to get its house in order. I think that is the message here, and people say, well, what can the government do? First of all, do no harm, number one, but number two, I think this is a call for the government to get its financial house in order. What I am terribly afraid of, though, is that is not the lesson that the American people are taking from this. They're hearing that capitalism has failed. Markets have failed. You can't trust the people on Wall Street. It's all about greed. And what I'm afraid that we're looking at here is possibly a situation where Obama will win the presidency. It certainly looks that way at this point. John McCain should not be counted out. I counted him out in the Republican primaries way back when, in the Republican primaries. I thought the guy was toast. Well, he came back and got the nomination. In no way should John McCain be counted out, but I am concerned that we might be looking at an Obama victory and a large Democratic majority in the U.S. House and a 60-seat Democratic contingent in the U.S. Senate, at which time, basically they will control the government. And I've heard, in fact, somebody I talked with today justified his vote for McCain, saying he's going to vote for McCain, basically because he's concerned that that Democratic president and the Democratic majority in both houses will put us on the fast track to democratic socialism in the United States. And it's a real concern. It's a real concern that they're going to look upon the election results as a mandate to go in there and get government more involved in everybody's life. And it's needless to say, as a libertarian, I think that's the wrong way to go. I have a friend, Jim Lark, who's a professor at the University of Virginia, who said to me, and this is a great line, I wish I'd said it, and I steal it every time I can, regarding, I think, the general problem here in the United States, he said the American people are unable or unwilling to distinguish between that which is good and that which is just. They think that what is good is, by definition, just. And it's not that way. It may be good to take money from the rich and give it to the poor. Maybe it's good, but is it just? I mean, no, it's not. There's a lot that's good out there that would not be just. And the problem is that there is an infinite amount of good to be done in this world. There's an infinite amount of good to be done in this world, and as soon as you position government as an agent for good instead of an agent for justice, you are giving government license to get involved in every nook and cranny of everyone's life. And with that, the whole limited government ballgame is over. The whole limited government ballgame is over at that point. It will mean an end to economic freedom eventually. It will mean the end of social freedom because, gosh, we can't have you doing unhealthy things. We can't have people eating too much. We can't have people smoking. We can't have people drinking too much. And that is, I think, at the core of the fundamental problem that we are facing here in the United States. That mindset that simply feeds the growth of government at every turn. It is amazing the questionnaires that you get, the number of questionnaires when you run for public office, particularly U.S. Senate. But for the U.S. Senate, I get these questionnaires that indicate that mindset, that government ought to be involved in everything. I mean, how are you going to I got a questionnaire from one organization, how are you going to keep kids safe after school? You know, my answer was, I just don't see how this is germane to, I don't see how this is germane to running for the U.S. Senate. And some of these questions here should be for private institutions and individuals and at most state and local government to get involved with. And they asked about, one of the questions was by this organization, a lot of kids have a parent in prison, what are you going to do about it? Well, that one the federal government does have a role in, and that is ending the drug war. Let's walk the talk in the United States about being politically free. The one thing, again, we can't afford it all anymore. We can't afford it all. We can't afford to be prosecuting consensual crimes anymore, prostitution, gambling, the drug war, things of that nature. If the government was smart, I'm not suggesting this, but if the government were smart, they could use these things as fundraisers, okay? But instead they want to drive it underground. It's completely the wrong thing. You all know the details on that. I don't know where all of this is going to go at the end of the day. I think that you know, I 77% kiddingly state that we'll have a libertarian society when it's imposed on us by the leaders of China. And by that I mean that if this nation doesn't have the fortitude to step up and make the tough decisions that need to be made regarding cutting government spending, reforming our tax code, encouraging entrepreneurship. I suggest a flat tax to replace the individual and corporate income taxes. I suggest a flat tax because it gets away, makes this code a lot simpler, gets away, or does away with a lot of junk deductions and credits in the tax code, but lowers the marginal tax rate. It lowers the marginal tax rate. We need to do that to encourage entrepreneurism because we desperately need it for a vibrant economy, particularly with our aging population, which is not just the case here in the United States, it's the case around the world. But at the end of the day, if the leaders of this nation, in the major party candidacies, unfortunately, I do not see serious discussion of these issues. To me, in fact, most of the discussion is unserious.